Hey guys, let's talk about how to get away with murder. And as always, the last few minutes of the episode always gives us such good juicy details. And today there's no exception. We find out that Lila was pregnant. That's right, people. They successfully exhumed her body, and obviously they missed something the first time, really. How do you miss that she was 6 weeks pregnant the first time? So clearly it was a botched autopsy done the first time around, and a lot of this episode, well, all of this episode was about Rebecca. Usually there's a case of the week, and we get some sprinkles of Rebecca's case mixed in, but today it was all about Rebecca's murder trial. And today's episode was all about getting Lila's body exhumed. And of course, we have the two different co-defenders, and Annalise and her team are doing everything to discredit the prosecution, and they are trying to clear their client of any wrongdoing in the murder of Lila. Now, one of the things we also found out in this episode through some flashbacks was that Rebecca admitted to killing Sam, taking the trophy, bashing him over the head because she felt he was going to kill her. And she confesses this to Wes. And of course, Wes is like, we're going to do everything we can to help you. But this is the first time where, we've been getting bits and pieces of this murder scene, and we don't really know, or we didn't really know, what led to the death. And in today's episode, about 20 minutes into the episode, we finally get Rebecca confessing that she did it in self-defense. He was going to kill her, and she killed Sam. Wow. So that happened. I actually did really enjoy this episode because there was a lot going on. There was a lot going on with Rebecca's case. Obviously, the prosecution tried to railroad Annalise in this episode. At first, they tried to act as though they were going to work with Annalise's team to not get the body exhumed, because everybody knows that once you exhume the body, it really doesn't help anybody's case except for one person. And she acted as though she was on Annalise's side, and then halfway through the case, she decides to go against Annalise, and her and the other co-defendant who's defending Griffin tried to make a plea deal, or they made a side deal to try to get their client off. So, a lot of this episode we spent with Rebecca and just starting to get a little bit more, finding out more about who she is, just a little. But, at the beginning, she's talking about the night of the murder, and she jokingly says, "Oh, and that's when I killed Lila," and then she ha-has, and everyone's like, not funny. So, Rebecca is an interesting character because she comes off very dry, very sarcastic, but you can tell that she's terrified at the end of the day. And we got to see a little bit more development going on between Wes and her, and we ultimately see the first time they have sex, and they kiss, and they hook up. And it happens after Annalise instructs her client to break the gag order, and she lies and says that Griffin raped her. And of course, Wes is upset about this, and this leads to them finally doing the deed. Now, I am actually enjoying Rebecca and Wes as a pairing. They're working on me. And the more and more we find out about Wes and Rebecca, it just becomes more interesting. And I actually like that scene when they're in the home of Annalise's, and she sees Sam, and she calls him Mr. Darcy, and then he goes into the office with Annalise, and he's like, "So this terrorist just gets to walk around in our place?" Like, dude, you're caught. Like, you are Mr. Darcy. You had an affair with this girl, and now at the end of the episode, we find out that she's 6 weeks pregnant. I mean, how much more is this man lying about? It's ridiculous. Nate also made an appearance in this episode, and him and Annalise had an interesting conversation where he lets her know that he knows that she planted evidence on Griffin, which is the cell phone. So, Annalise is not coming off very good in this trial, and she's obviously doing everything she can to try to clear her client. and she's instructing her client to break the law in terms of breaking the gag order. She's not above doing any kind of misdeeds to get what she wants. We also had the kids in the episode. I call them the kids, but talking about Laurel hooking up with Frank again, cheating on her boyfriend. Everybody's a cheater on this show. It's just ridiculous. We had Connor trying to get back his little beau, the computer genius, and he's clearly moved on to another man. And we had Asher being Asher as always, with his little one-liners all throughout the episode. Quite annoying as usual. They didn't really do much in terms of breaking the case in this week's episode or helping out, but they're there. And I thought one of the funnier moments was when Michaela thinks she's getting this, I guess, internship or this opportunity to work at this prestigious law firm, and it turns out that they're there. She's called on behalf of her fiance's family to get a prenup. So that was pretty funny. But no, the episode itself was pretty good. And again, the ending, just another jaw-dropping moment where we find out that Lila's 6 weeks pregnant. We also found out that Wes's mother killed herself when he was 12 years old. He's allergic to peanuts. We found a little bit more about Wes in this episode too, which was great. And I'm liking him more and more. And, that's the thing about Annalise. She is an interesting character because there's a lot of layers. You even saw her and Sam starting to get a little bit more entwined with one another. She looked like she was starting to forgive him. And then, bam, we're hit with another lie at the end of it all. So we're now 2 weeks away from the actual murder of Sam. So it's going to be interesting to see what happens in the next 2 weeks, because obviously next week I'm sure will be 1 week before the murder. And then after that, we're going to be right up to current events. So should be very interesting to see what happens. Let me know what you thought, guys. I enjoyed it. I'll see you next week.